Lesson 5, Include-Exclude Processing. You're going to use the Include-Exclude list to exclude files you don't want backed up and ensure that files you do want to back up, maybe that are in directories you wouldn't be backing up that you've excluded, that you can then include. I know this all sounds foreign, but when you get through this lesson, I think you'll understand how we're going to do include-exclude processing. There is a tab in your Preference Editor in the Backup Archive GUI that will let you work with your include-exclude list. Also, if you've used the Setup Wizard to set up your dsm.opt file, you have an include-exclude builder in that wizard. They have suggested files you might want to exclude. There's also a section in the wizard that lets you exclude files by their file extension. So if you don't want to be backing up MP3 files, you can select Exclude All MP3 Files. You can also edit your dsm.opt file directly with a text editor. The 3 rules of include-exclude processing. 1. The list is read from the bottom up as it appears in the dsm.opt file. So if you look in your dsm.opt file, include-exclude processing will read from the bottom of the file up. Remember, when you add options to your dsm.opt, they go on the bottom. So the order of the list is very important here. And this is how it appears in dsm.opt. It might appear a little differently in the Preference Editor. Include-exclude processing will stop once a match has been found. So when you make a match, reviewing a file versus the include-exclude list, it's going to stop once it meets that match. This is why the order is important again. It's going to read from the bottom up, and as soon as it makes a match, it's going to stop. The file will then be included or excluded. If the file you're backing up is not in the include-exclude list, then by default it would be included. If it's not excluded, it's included. Reads from the bottom up, stops when you make a match. If it's not excluded, it's included. Let's go through an example. Here we have 4 files. Over here on the left. Here is our very short include-exclude list as it appears in dsm.opt. Line 3 is the bottom of the file. Line 1 is the top of the list. Obviously, this is a very simplified include-exclude list. Let's look at the first file. C tsm critproj1 mydoc. Does rule 3 match the file? This would be the bottom of your include-exclude statements in dsm.opt. Exclude C tsm critproj1 any file with a .doc extension. Yes, it does match line 3. So it matches line 3, it's excluded. Let's look at our next file, C tsm critproj2 user-doc. Does it match line 3? No. Does it match line 2? Yes. Any file in the tsm directory with a .doc extension will be included, except for what we've already excluded, because we will have made a match here. File 2 doesn't match line 3, but it does match line 2. So yes, and it would be included. Our third file is in D tsm critproj1 form.txt. Does it match line 3? No. Does it match line 2? No, it's in the D directory. Does it match line 1? Exclude anything with .doc. No, it doesn't. Since it's not excluded, it's going to be included. And our final file here, tsm data base.doc. Does it match rule 3? No. Does it match rule 2? No. What about rule 1? Does it match rule 1? Yes, it does. Rule 1 says any file that has not been already included or excluded but ends in a .doc would be excluded. First file will be excluded because it matched line 3. The second file will be included because it matched line 2. Our DTSM Crit Proj 1, it's not excluded, so it's included. And then our final ETSM database.doc would be excluded based on line 1. Excluding directories from your backups. If you use the exclude dir statement, that means the entire directory structure will not be backed up, and TSM won't traverse the directory tree. So in our example here, we're saying exclude dir see TSM project 2 subdir 1. That means the cost file will not be backed up. Plans and dates will be backed up because they're in subdir 2. Now, one of the things about the exclude dir statement is it's going to be processed first, regardless of its position in the include-exclude list. So any objects in that directory will automatically be removed from processing. Client compression, encryption, and adaptive subfile backup processing. Compression is going to let you compress your files before you send them to the server. This is done on the client side. Encryption, you can encrypt your data before it goes to the server, so during a backup or an archive operation. You can include compression, include encryption, and include subfile backups. Subfile backups is a Windows-only type of backup that allows you to back up over a limited bandwidth network, such as a modem. If you're wanting to use adaptive subfile backups, you would say include.subfile and the name of your directory or files you want to use subfile backups. You can include a management class or a file, groups of files, with the include statement. So to associate all the files in the cost directory that we saw earlier with a management class, you can use this command in your dsm.op file. Include the name of the file and followed by the name of the management class. So this is a way you can use include, exclude, and associate it with policy. We've talked a little bit about wildcards that you can use in TSM. This is a quick list of some of the most common characters. Also in the notes under this slide in your student guide, there will be more characters and by platform. What we use a lot is the asterisk. This is match all characters. This is what I was talking about earlier with your setup wizard when you're building your TSM options file. That's the dsm.op file. One of the options you have is to exclude common file extensions. You have the ability to select which ones you want, select all, or clear all. Again, if you're not wanting to back up, say, AVI files, you would just select this, then all files ending in .avi would be excluded. Now, this is probably not something you're going to do if your company is producing videos. However, if you've got people downloading videos that you don't need to be backing up, I would use this. Include exclude is an excellent way to trim down the amount of data being backed up. This reduces your backup window time and your storage space. Only back up what you need to back up. In the backup window in our Backup Archive GUI, you'll notice at the top there's two symbols, the negate symbol and then an open circle. You can, on the fly, include, exclude files by clicking one of these buttons. For example, you'll notice our recycle bin is excluded. That's probably a really good thing. Now, if in our critical directory we wanted to exclude, say, the Alaska file, we would highlight the file and click the negate symbol. Then this file would be excluded from backups. Later, if you wanted to include it again, you would click the open circle to allow it to be backed up. And this is our final wrap-up review. So in this exercise, here's our include-exclude list. Our domains that we're backing up are user and home. And the statements that would read from the bottom up, we are going to include /user/LWP/resume with any extension, then exclude the rest of the files in /user/LWP, exclude anything in home nobody, and exclude home admin all files. So take a minute and figure out which of these files are included and which of them are excluded. Is this the result you got? Let's review it. /home/admin/bob.log matches our rule 1 up here. Next, home admin file 1 is going to be included by default. It's not excluded. Third, home nobody data file 1.dat excluded because it matches line 2. /user/LWP/resume.ibm is included. It matches line 4. And finally, /user/LWP/data/file1.dat is excluded because it matches line 3. Reads from the bottom up, stops when it makes a match. If it's not included, it's excluded.